The Tigers win their 9th straight, this time again in run rule fashion. We're recapping it, Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We are free, available wherever you get podcasts. Of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. LSU kicks off the North Alabama series with a 13-2 run rule inning in 7. Tigers mash 6 homers. Kade Ander goes 6 innings for the Tigers. You got to love to see that. So a lot to talk about here. And if you're new, again, thank you for being here with us. If you're an everydayer, shout out. My objective here is to go live on the channel on YouTube after every LSU baseball game, or as many as we can. There's some times where obligations may take us away. So subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a video or go live so you can jump aboard with us here as soon as the games go final. LSU, and so real quick, so if you're watching or listening on demand, thank you so much. Appreciate that. If you're with us live, I'll just as a heads up how this goes, I'll give you my takeaway on the game, break, and then we'll get to your questions, comments. So drop your questions, comments. We'll get to those coming up here in just a smidge. Okay. Few takeaways from LSU beating North Alabama 13-2. This was obviously a very overmatched North Alabama team. I want to talk about Kade Ander in just a second, but let me start with the offense. This was a day where Jared Jones was 0 for 5. Jared Jones, your best hitter, your best power hitter, was 0 for 5. And on a day where Jared Jones was 0 for 5, by the way, the last ball he hit on the 5th out, he hit a screamer to center. But anyway, on a day where Jared Jones was 0 for 5, you hit 6 home runs, 6 homers, 13 runs on 13 hits. Let me remind you, 13 runs on 13 hits in 6 at-bats. Tigers offense, incredible in this ball game. Got started for the Tigers with a 3-run bottom of the 5th. Actually, we could look at the first, and unfortunately, Tigers squandered an opportunity. Derek Curiel walked on 4 pitches. Jared Jones flew out to center. Dickinson singled on a full count pitch. Beautiful AB, by the way. Then Josh Pearson struck out, and Milam grounded out. So you had an opportunity with Pearson Milam up, Pearson batting in the cleanup spot with 2 on, 1 out, and you couldn't get the run home. And then in the third, LSU erupted. Josh Pearson homered, Brown doubled, Tanner Reeves homered, a 3-run homer. And just like that in a blink, LSU is up 5-0 in the ball game. One of the things that I love to see in this game, step away briefly from the offense and go to the day that Kade Ander had. Anderson was very good in the first 3 innings. You finally break through with a 5 spot in the bottom of the 3rd. This would, in theory, be an exhale spot. What did Kade Ander do? Strikeout, foul out, strikeout, 11 pitches out of the inning. You get the lead. You don't even let them get up off the mat because you suffocated them in that spot. Awesome to see. Tigers would add 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, then a big 5 spot in the 6th. And boy, was that fun. In the 6th, we got to see John Pearson hit his first career homer, a 3-run blast, a no-doubter. So this was a day where both Josh and John hit their first homers of the season. And for John, it was the first homer of his career. Hernandez also hit a solo shot in this game for LSU, and Dickinson hit a solo shot in the game for LSU, his team leading 5th of the season. So UMass 6 homers in this ball game, and Jared Jones wasn't one of the guys that did it. If I was going to say one thing about this LSU offense, and I know we've talked about this team a good bit in this manner, but I'm talking about specifically the offense. They can beat you in so many different ways. You look back to the weekend where they played Kansas State, nip and tuck ball game, you win in extras. You play Nebraska where you fall down 5-0, you score 10 unanswered. You play Sam Houston State where you put up a 7 spot in the first and you just never look back. I mean, they've shown the ability to win in many different ways, and this game showed the ability to be offensive in a very different way, where you got 6 homers in the ball game from 6 different players, which is incredible to see. So a great day for LSU offensively. Now, let's talk about Kade Anderson. I just mentioned the 4th inning, but Kade Anderson in this game was absolutely magnificent. This was the final opportunity for Kade to pitch before the start of SEC play. And the thing, if there was one thing I've heard consistently from LSU fans as I hate to say criticism, maybe a concern over Anderson, it's after the 5th inning, he's sort of fallen off a cliff, which had been the case up until this point. Kade Anderson gave you 5 innings of 1-run baseball. He allowed a solo homer, went out there for the 6th, and was darn near flawless. So he threw up a 0 in the 6th. They went fly out, strikeout, gave up a single. There was a wild pitch, but then the strikeout on 4 pitches got you out of the inning. So he allowed 1 harmless single, but he got you through 6. He also extended to 92 pitches again. So we've seen the pitch count continue to escalate, which is what you want to see as you get through and closer to conference play. You're going to see guys extend as they continue to build up that endurance. And Kade Anderson certainly showed that in this ball game. And he was just awesome. The final line, 6 innings, 1 run on 4 hits. Again, the 1 run was a solo homer. Struck out 11. Let me say that again. He struck out 11 in 6 innings. 18 outs recorded, 11 via strikeout. And most importantly, a bagel in the walk column. No walks. For everyone that had worried about this team, the pitching staff, the walks, the hit by pitch, the thing that I said earlier in the week that I'm going to stand by is cumulatively, yes, I understand it. But when you're looking at the guys you're actually going to count on, they've been very good. Look at Maverick Rizzi, for example. Anderson pitched 6 innings. Rizzi came out and pitched the 7th with a giant lead. He walked a guy. He gave up a hit. He allowed a run. So a freshman still finding his way with a giant lead, walked a guy and gave up a hit and allowed a run. Kade Anderson, 11 strikeouts, no walks. One of those guys you're going to count on in big spots. One of them you're not. That's the thing I would encourage you to focus on. Focus on Kade Anderson. Focus on Chase Shores. Focus on Anthony Irons and Connor Ware. Focus on, Kaysen Evans. Focus on Connor Binge. Focus on Zach Cowan. Focus on William Schmidt. The guys that are going to be, who are going to have the ball in meaningful leverage situations in conference play and in the postseason for this team. If Maverick Rizzi walks a guy in the 7th inning of a 13-1 ball game, okay. If Cooper Williams or DJ Primo or Grant Fontenot go out there and maybe let loose and walk some guys in a tough spot, okay. Because I'm pretty sure at this point, we got a really good feeling of who the guys are going to be that Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske are going to be counting on when you get to May and ultimately June. Okay, let me knock out a quick break. Our only break of the show. When we come back, it's all you. So if you're watching live, thank you so much for that. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video or go live. I'm getting to your questions and comments right on the flip side. Stick around. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Fabric, where life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps. Before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could be covered in 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, you want to make sure your family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives you that peace of mind. So join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. March basketball is here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's fast, easy, and keeps every game exciting. They even have weekly promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get discounted player projections for even more value. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, let's get to you. LSU beats North Alabama 13-2. They run rule North Alabama in the first game. Game 2 is scheduled, by the way, for Saturday night at the Box. I will tell you this. I'm going to be a spoiler, and I don't know if this is definitively going to happen, but are keeping an eye on the sky with an 80% chance of rain Saturday in Baton Rouge. And there is talk. Okay. This is official. This is what you get for listening live. Baseball has been moved to noon Central. The game will air on 100.7 FM, The Tiger. So that means basketball will be on Eagle 98.1, and the women's basketball game will be on Talk 107.3. That's if you're in the Baton Rouge area. Okay. So there you go. That is official. So LSU, because of the rain I knew that was a possibility. Because of the rain projected in the area for Saturday, the game's been moved to noon on Saturday. So an early first pitch for LSU and North Alabama in game 2. So a little disappointing. Jay Johnson had said earlier this week, was kind of looking forward to this weekend being a typical SEC weekend structure. I mean, think about how the first month of the season's gone. And they opened up on a Friday at 2:00. They played a Monday game against Nichols. They had a midweek game canceled. They played a series in Frisco where they had a Friday game played at 2:00. It's just been a weird schedule. Like what we're going to anticipate is Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon in conference play for home weekends. And this was going to be that. Well, now the rain projected in Baton Rouge on Saturday has altered that. So the first question out the chute was from Caleb Benson, who said, what are the chances Jay lets tomorrow's game get moved to Sunday? So keep in mind, Jay Johnson doesn't have autonomy to make that call. The coaches would have to agree to it, and they do it in coordination with the weather. The meteorologists and everyone they're looking at. Sorry, I was looking at my phone for an update. So tomorrow, or I should say, depending on when you're watching or listening, Saturday's game, noon Central. Now that is official. It's been moved to noon Central. You can read more about that at louisianasports.net. Monty Williams, I feel like Reeves or Pearson should play third. Don't know if the defense big enough drop off to justify how clutch they are on offense. You know what's interesting about Tanner Reeves, who did homer in this ballgame? He came into this game hitting .211. So it's hard for me to listen or to read that and say he's been clutch offensively when he came into this game with fewer than 20 at-bats and he was hitting .211. And the first start he got was that Monday game against Nichols, and in the first inning, there was a ground ball to him at third, and he booted it right off his belt. He also had 2 wide throws to first. Now, they like Tanner Reeves a lot, a whole lot. And I'm not saying throw dirt on him. I'm just saying I'm not so sure that I'm on board with he's had this clutch gene. Now, John Pearson is a way more interesting case because if LSU, if you keep giving I'm going to use this example. I've used it before. If you keep giving John Pearson opportunities, and every time you keep giving him opportunities, he keeps coming through, eventually you got to give him a start. And if he comes through, you got to give him another one. And the example that I keep giving is Kade Beloso in 2023 in the championship year. Beloso wasn't a starter at the beginning of the season. And he would get spot at-bats in midweek, and then he started getting pinch hit opportunities in SEC play, and then he kept getting hits, and then all of a sudden you look up and you go, okay, like every time we put that guy in the game, he keeps hitting the baseball because Kade Beloso was a really good college baseball hitter. And by the end of the season, he was a huge part of your team. One of the most massive home runs of that season in Omaha, pacing you to a national championship. Now, John Pearson, coming into this ballgame, was hitting .400. He was 2 for 5. He had 5 at-bats on the season. He was 2 for 5, and he'd walked twice. So you keep giving that guy at-bats, and he keeps coming through, and in this ballgame, he had a monster shot to left. I'm with you. Like, I'm ready to see John Pearson get a start at third base, get 5 at-bats in a game, and see how that looks. Like, maybe Wednesday against Xavier or one other day this weekend is the time to do that before you get to conference play. Eric, wish you would have had Lynn Rollins on the broadcast. Would have been a lot of pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye tonight, no doubt. Hey, Damon Gilmore, thanks for watching. K-Blaze, what's going on? Tiger Dad, hello from South Georgia. Love these post-game lives. Thanks for being there, Tiger Dad. If y'all aren't here, I wouldn't be here, so thank you. Justin was at the game tonight. Kade Anderson looked great. Offense looked good as well. Hey, look, you score 13 runs on 13 hits. That's efficiency. You hit 6 homers. That's a giant power surge. And when your starting pitcher gives you 6 innings of 1-run ball with 11 strikeouts and no walks, take it every day. Now, as Guy Brooks mentions, overmatched, good win. Yes, North Alabama is an overmatched baseball team. However, so is North Dakota State. And you played with your food on Tuesday and needed a dramatic comeback. So when you go out there and you dominate the way that they did on Friday night, they deserve credit for it. Connor O'Neill told my buddy Wednesday, I wish this team had more pop. I guess I got my wish. Here's the thing, Connor. Like, outside of Jared Jones, I don't know that there's anybody on this team that's going to hit 20 homers. Dickinson can do it, and he may. But I think it's going to be more like 2017. Remember the 2017 team? I want to find this. I'm doing this off the cuff. I have it pulled up here, but 2017 was a year where nobody absolutely went off as far as the power numbers, but you had a bunch of guys get to double digits. Here it is. So Dykeman had 19. So that's the exception. I shouldn't say nobody went off. Dykeman had 19 with the green lightsaber bat. It was awesome. But Zach Watson had 9. Kramer had 8. Pap got to 11 because remember he hit 2 in the College World Series. Josh Smith had 5. Bo Jordan had 4. Jake Slaughter had 3. You ended up hitting 69 homers on the season. Only 2 guys got to double digits with Dykeman and Papirski. But Watson gave you the power threat. Kramer gave you the power threat. Like, again, it wasn't a big home run team, but you had guys up and down the lineup that were capable and at times getting through. This may look a lot like that. Hey, Ross Meir, amazing tonight with none from the big man. Team is so loaded, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, they hit 6 homers in a game, 6 different players, and Jared Jones was 0 for 5. Hey, Manny, thanks for being there. Lance Brown. In other news, Lady Tigers basketball beat Florida. Play Texas tomorrow night. Squirrel, what up, man? Good to see you. Awesome game out at the box. Thomas Spencer, love seeing the long ball. Nice to get the convincing win. Let's see. Ross, this is a good point. With all the bullpen arms, give me 5 and I'll be happy. Someone asked me the question earlier about the concern about pitchers not getting through 6 or 7. And my point was, I don't need starters to go 6 or 7. If LSU goes through a weekend, remember, you're trying to get 27 outs, right? In a game. 27 innings. Get through 27 innings, 27 outs in a game. If your 3 starters get you 15 innings, each gives you 5 innings, that gets you 15 of the 27. Then you need 12 innings over the course of a weekend from some combination of Zach Cowan, Connor Benj, William Schmidt, Connor Ware, Kason Evans. You see my point? Like, and you're going to get Gavin Guidry back at some point. I mean, you've got plenty of arms if your starters are getting you through 5, and especially with the way this offense can hit. So, yes. I mean, would you love to see every pitcher get you through 7? Sure. But realistically, like, that's not always the case. You want your starter to get you into a situation where you can turn the ball over to the bullpen with a chance to win the game. And when you have enough arms in the bullpen, which LSU does, you're in a good spot. Cade was lights out, 11 Ks, 0 walks. Even the catching was better, except the pass ball by Aaron Beatty, which has been a problem, no doubt. Let's see. Christopher, I think Anderson is a weekend starter, but should he be the Friday night guy? Are you kidding me? He threw 92 pitches, got you through 6 innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, no walks. Yes. And the flip side of it is, who is the alternative? Anthony Einstein gave up 5 early to Nebraska last week. He's been effective, but not efficient. And Chase Shores, I think, is still coming back into his own from Tommy John. Christopher, I'd ask you the question, if you're not going to pitch Kade Anderson on Friday, who? And if you have, by the way, if you have a problem with anything Kade Anderson did on Friday night, we just aren't watching the same thing. Zach, 2 brothers hit homers in a game. One of that's happened in a college or pro ball. No doubt. I mean, look, I'm sure Bo and Bryce Jordan did it at LSU. And then you could also talk about the Canseco's, the Giambis. I'm certain that's happened. Just such a giant sample size. No doubt that's happened. But I would bet, I don't know this off the top, but I would bet there was a game where Bo and Bryce Jordan both homered at LSU. Big homie Spiff. Hopefully they're building big confidence heading into conference play. Patrick thought Baby Pearson was Tommy White there for a minute. Looks a lot like him. And look, Tommy White proved big man can play third. Hunter Merritt, do you think Reeves starts Friday against Missouri over Braswell? Really good question. No, I don't. I think Braswell defensively is the better option. And he's shown he can hit 300 in conference play. I'm glad to see Reeves come on in this ball game. But coming into this ball game, Reeves was hitting 211 on the season. In the same way that some of y'all, you know who you are, were ready to throw dirt on Chris Stanfield when he was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts with the bases loaded. And now you're looking at a guy who is, I'm looking for an updated stat if I can find it, but you know, Chris Stanfield right now, obviously he was around 350. Stanfield 333. I mean, A lot of y'all wanted to bury him after one game where he was 0-4 with 2 strikeouts with the bases loaded, which is not good. But the point is, it's baseball. Don't overreact to one game. Update on Guidry. So I was told that Guidry is a back injury, and I don't expect him to pitch this weekend. Could see him next week. So that's what I was told. Back injury for Gavin Guidry. Braden Meek, do you think Braswell ends up being starter by the end of the year? Yes, because the glove is there, and he hit 300 in conference play a year ago. So he's shown he can do it. I mean, there were people melting at the opening weekend when Stephen Milam struggled. Milam now is hitting 386. So I get it. Braswell's 194 right now. That's not good. I mean, he's 6 of 31. Not good. But he's pressing. And it happened to him last year as well. Went through a long slump and ultimately came out of it and hit 300 in conference play and was one of your best players by the end of the season in big moments. So, yeah, I'll take Braswell. Chef 225-504, John Butler. Reeves has way better at bats than Braswell. And the wind plus hitting it hard straight at someone has cost Reeves several hits. Donovan, could we see both Pearsons in the lineup? Maybe. That's the one thing that at this point I would like to see that we haven't seen yet, which is I want to see John Pearson get a start at third. Braswell, I think, is a better defender. I think Reeves has the potential to be a really good hitter. So, look, like it's so interesting when you just look at a sample size, right? So coming into this ball game, Tanner Reeves was hitting 211. He goes and has the night he did tonight. Now he's up to 318. But that's what happens when you have, 20. He's 7 of 22 on the season. But coming into this ball game, he was batting 211, and nobody was clamoring for Tanner Reeves. He has one good game, and now you're clamoring for Tanner Reeves. I would just say it's baseball, man. He could go out tomorrow, go 0 for 5, and then nobody wants to see him again. So look at the growing sample. Understand what you have in the players. Let's see, you're concerned about Bear? Not at all. I don't think I even need to look at the rest of your question. No, I'm not concerned at all about Bear Jones. I mean, the rest of that was, wait, hang on. The rest of that was something about swinging out of a slump. I mean, okay. So it was a little bit of a joke there by slump, not getting the ball out of the yard. I mean, Bear Jones homered twice on Tuesday night to the opposite field, or Wednesday night to the opposite field. He hit 2 homers in the same game, both to the opposite field. To be very clear, Jared Jones is hitting 400 with a 527 on base percentage. He's hitting for average and with power to all fields. I'm not worried in the least about Bear Jones at all. Connor, last time was Clay and Will Harris against Rice 2005. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Okay, never mind. Per Todd Polites. If your stat is per Todd Polites, then I completely agree. If you're not following Todd Polites on Twitter, shame on you. The great Todd Polites, who is all things stats LSU. Follow him on Twitter. If Todd Polites said it, it's 100% fact. So there you go. Let's see. Is Gavin Guidry our closer again this year? He could be, unless if Kason Evans grabs a hold of that role and Guidry becomes more of a stopper in the middle of the game. I could see those reversed, however. Like, here's a hypothetical. Here's a hypothetical. You're playing Tennessee. You're up 3-2. They have second and third with 2 outs in the 7th. Are you going to get Kason Evans or are you going to get Gavin Guidry? Probably going to get Kason Evans. And if that's the case, pun, he's probably not finishing the game, but he's your stopper in that spot. And then to get through the 9th, you can go get the ball to Guidry. So I just think it's probably more situational. Like, who do you want in that spot instead of, hey, you're the setup guy, you're the closer? Okay, a couple more. Christopher said, I appreciate the postgame. Thank you so much. Have a Bama fan friend that thinks Justin LeBron is the best player in the country. Am I crazy for thinking I wouldn't even take him over Milam? I think Justin LeBron is fantastic, and he is going to be an amazing player. It's way premature to try to call him the best player in the country, and I would take Stephen Milam because I'm talking about a guy that is a starting shortstop in the SEC that has already come through in gigantic moments in the postseason. It's just more a little bit of a known commodity, I guess. But I think Justin LeBron's a great player. No shade there at all. He's awesome. Okay, let's wrap this thing up, y'all. Thank you so much for being there with us. If you're on YouTube with us live, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. If you're watching or listening on demand, thank you. Remember, we're live after every LSU baseball game on YouTube. So go to the Locked On LSU YouTube, hit the bell so you're notified, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're on podcast, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review, and let a friend know that if they love the Tigers, we got you here every single day for Locked On LSU, your team every day.